Welcome, fellow travelers. My name is Ezekiel King, and I'm joining Chibi and Vertec at the Golden Feather. Come on in, grab a seat, and let's share tales of adventure.
Hello, and welcome to the Golden Feather Tavern, where your hosts, Chibi and Vertec, discuss Ashes of Creation and important topics spoken about within the Ashes community. Every week, we invite you, the viewer, and a special guest to pull up a chair, grab a pint, and join the conversation with us. Today is the 30th of April, 2024, and we are on episode 205. Can you believe it? The Shaman King. And our traveling bard joining us today is none other than the one, the only, the great Ezekiel King. How are you?
I am doing fine, Vertec. How are you?
Fantastic. I have left the workplace, therefore the day is fantastic. It was crazy for a minute there. And Chibi, how are you today?
I'm doing pretty well. Glad to be here as well. Excited.
Yeah. As am I. Looking all lovely with your fur lining. Both you folks got nifty furs and stuff. Here I am with just getting out of work. Didn't have time to find nothing. Just jump in here. But, outside of that, what do we have on tap today?
So today, if you don't keep up with Ashes of Creation, was the development live stream on the nighttime sky lighting and lighting in general, as well as an update to the wand combat and some of the ways that reacts to the night lighting as well. So that's what we're going to be talking about.
Nice. And a whole bunch of other stuff.
Yes.
My goodness.
Indeed.
But I think the most important topic we're going to discuss today is our traveling bard, Ezekiel King. For those who do not know who you is or what you do, could you narrate, just cracking me up mid-sentence, could you give some people a quick rundown on who you are, what you do, and from whence you came?
Yeah. So I'm the Ezekiel King. I am a variety MMO streamer that primarily plays games like Elder Scrolls Online. Every now and then I'll have little stints with other games like Baldur's Gate 3. I'm very much into the high fantasy kind of setting when it comes to games. Growing up, reading things like Lord of the Rings, Chronicles of Narnia, things like that. So anything with high fantasy setting, with group mechanics, kind of draws me in. I mainly just do stuff on Twitch, looking into potentially getting into TikTok and YouTube here in the near future. But at the moment, I'm kind of just on Twitch at the moment. So yeah.
Okay.
That's fair.
And if you don't mind, where'd you get the name Ezekiel King? What's the story behind that?
So Ezekiel's actually my name. That is actually my real name. The King comes from a lot of different reasoning. So my actual last name is actually a very unique last name. We're the only family with my last name. So I needed a new name for this to protect my privacy, essentially. I grew up on a street called King's Highway. My favorite comic book character for a while was Hannibal King from Marvel Comics. And if you took the last letter of my middle name with the last three letters of my last name, spells King. So we figured, that all just kind of worked out. And then they created a character named King Ezekiel on The Walking Dead, who walks around with a pet tiger, which just so happens to be my favorite animal. So it kind of just felt natural, really.
I love that. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I'm a fan. And for those who don't know also, if you were to swing by Ezekiel's channel here at any given point and you say something about Marvel and you ask about a detail, he probably knows it. We accidentally got started on Marvel one time, and it was just never-ending flow of information about characters that went to a side tangent about a different character. Bananas.
I love it, honestly.
So, when Ashes launches, or even wait, are you doing Alpha 2? Are you doing the betas?
I have access to Alpha 2. I
Nice.
bought in before they, announced the when they were closing it. I bought in back then. It was like October or something like that. So yeah, I am in Alpha 2. So eagerly waiting like you all.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Excited.
There's a number of people that were hoping that they would get a special announcement today on the month, and that did not happen.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. There's a lot of hopes for stuff like that, but I don't think we're gonna see it quite yet. Not quite yet. But,
Not quite
time will
yet.
tell. So tell me then, when Ashes goes into Alpha 2 and you're allowed to jump in and start testing stuff, are you trying to show people anything specific? Are you trying to do anything of a very specific angle? You're trying to go like PvP tilt, PvE tilt, crafting?
Yeah, so I'm one of those. I am one of those people that enjoy PvP, but I don't like doing meta builds. I like to try to come up with comparable builds that aren't, min-maxing, essentially. I do that with Elder Scrolls Online a lot. I come up with just weird ideas for battlegrounds and stuff like that. And I think that's one of the reasons why this game is kind of calling to me, because of the reiterations that Steven over at Intrepid had said about how they want every class and build to feel comparable and kind of work as like the rock, paper, scissor kind of system, to where like you'll be good in aspects, maybe lacking in some, but that should just be the natural course of a project like this.
When when Alpha 2 comes out and you're able to start making content, what type of content do you hope to make specifically for Ashes?
Yeah, so kind of like how the title of this channel is called, the shaman class is actually the one that I'm kind of very interested in. I like to do kind of more like supportive frontline fighter type builds. So there are some class abilities from the cleric line that kind of fall in line with what I'm comfortable with a lot of the builds that I like to do. Just based off of speculations that we've seen, about how like these secondary archetypes work with classes, kind of led me more towards the shaman archetype. So that's kind of what I'm planning on doing, is seeing what mainly cleric, but what secondary works better for my play style for potential like PvP builds that aren't for that min-max metagamer, essentially.
Yeah.
Nice. So go ahead.
I was just gonna say, Mother Ducky in chat says, I love this Ask Ezekiel session, and Vertex said we've been waiting to grill him for a while.
Yeah.
So yeah, very excited to have you on finally, by the way.
Yeah, time schedules, they never played nice. They never did. Until today. So then, dare I ask, what's going to be your favorite biome? If you could make the land of the king himself, Ezekiel, where would it be?
So I'm much more into the like kind of more snowy, mountain-esque kind of aesthetic. The Riverlands looks actually pretty cool. I could see that as being like, if I can't find a spot in like more of like a tundra kind of snowy wildland mountainous area, then I can see the Riverlands being a close second. But yeah, mountainous essentially.
The fur, kind of gives it away a little bit.
Yeah, maybe.
Right. And let's see. What are you waiting on the most as far as info that hasn't been announced yet, or like a specific thing that you just are dying to fully explore?
Honestly, it's the secondary archetype implementations that, you know, when like creating the class. Like, I'm almost certain that I'm going to play primarily cleric, so what augments that I can get from a secondary class, that's the thing, because I love doing like character themed builds. So that's kind of like my main thing that I'm really looking forward to finding out more on.
You know what's really cool about that is even though they've said and I don't know, we'll see after testing and all this and what they do, but with the secondary archetype not matching the primary, you might not be like the most powerful of that type of class or that type of archetype. But the fact that you don't care necessarily about the meta builds means you're gonna have a blast exploring it and not really caring about being like the bestest and strongest of that, like going for that play style aspect.
Yeah.
That, and I don't know if you caught it, but there's something kind of cool that I'm going to talk about today that's going to help both Ezekiel and I as cleric primaries when it comes to having maybe a mage in the party. So very excited to talk about that a little bit.
Yeah.
Undead Palette says, "Chibi Ezekiel cleric team up, hype," and then some message says, "I would like to add myself to the cleric convention." Absolutely,
Right.
the more the merrier.
Heck yeah, I'll be the tank hanging out with all you. I'll
There
be
we
healers for days. Healers for days.
You'll have mana for days.
All about
Mana for days. Mages equal mana batteries for cleric. Yeah, possibly. I'll be your rogue support. Love it. We need a good rogue support.
Okay, so
I was just gonna move us along unless you want to do it.
well, I had one more question. So,
Okay.
opinion, sir. When it comes to the PvP out in the wild, who do you think is going to be the rock to your scissors as a cleric?
Oh man, after watching that warrior showcase the other month, I legitimately got scared of those, because just the threat and pressure that they are able to just consistently be on you is scary as heck. I'm hoping that I can have some kind of like crowd control mechanic to keep him away from me.
I don't think I could argue that one. I think that's probably going to be the thing. That's going to be the guy. Either that, or honestly, maybe the mage. I would think might give a little bit might give a little bit of an issue. Those new tricked out beams and such we saw today.
Yeah. Sorry, Abra says Vertec looks uncomfortably good.
Ooh, wow, thank you. Did my eyebrows fresh for the day.
Meow.
Meow.
There will be no stopping the fighter. Says Newer. That's
Right.
funny.
Yeah, I suppose it is right about that time. We could probably go ahead and move along. As
Okay.
used.
Ezekiel, since you are a guest this week, would you like to talk about the wand and skill updates first, or the darkness lighting updates?
So honestly, I think the lighting would be cool to keep at the end. Maybe do the one.
Brat, thank you.
Oh,
Thank you so much, Apparat. Appreciate it.
Cheers. So lighting at
You're
the end,
a
you
hero
think?
as always.
Yes.
yeah, because the wand stuff, I think I found interesting how they were a little bit. It almost felt rushed when they were talking about the wand stuff, but they did talk about how Margaret's team was going to do videos throughout the next month that kind of showed other builds. So like right now we kind of have we had a little bit, but it was like kind of still left some up for speculation, while the lighting was a little bit more concrete of what they gave us. Like we kind of had a better idea with.
Yeah. And that's fair. So going to the wand section. So we got to see Steven attacking some of the Minotaurs in the Sand Squall Desert in the video that was shared today. And you can see the luminescence of the magic at night. And it's really, really cool. Especially once Vertec pulls up the video, and you guys, for those of you that have missed it, you guys can see what we're talking about.
I could absolutely do that, couldn't I?
You could. By the way, that was my subtle hint, because we keep forgetting to swap off of the just chatting scene for this part.
I do.
I say we do because I did it last time.
I even wrote it into our notes.
He did. It's funny. Vertec has a different color of his headphone pads, yeah. But yes, so in this, first off, I love the glowiness of the wand. You can kind of see it like moving, and I really enjoy that. He also showed us the update to the ball of light. And if you guys ever wondered, like, does Intrepid actually take into consideration things that we say? Let this be like this entire live stream, this entire video that you're going to watch behind us, let it be a testament to that. They do. They definitely do. But a couple of the things mentioned that I want to talk about, we'll just start with wands and then we'll go to the skill tree next. But he was able to make the material function to adapt to how much the in-game is reacting to light or the lack thereof. So as you're casting stuff, it will kind of adjust to like the brightness. So if it's daytime, it'll be brighter so you can see it. If it's nighttime, it'd be a little less bright. But also, they mentioned at night it can blind you, but you don't see it throughout the day as an option, like as a purposeful design. So if you're doing lightning, maybe that's intended to kind of blind you for a second, to stun you, maybe as a player, because you can't really see that well. But then during the day, you're not going to really see it at all because it's not really as effective. So we're starting to see, you know, certain skills like the fire being more effective in winter and light being more effective at night. What are your thoughts on that?
I think it's amazing. I love having elements like that to kind of give a little bit more level of immersion for stuff like this, because, you know, like I said, I grew up with high fantasy settings to where I like to see myself in those settings. So the more and more elements that makes it to where it has less of imagination and more of, you know, immersion. It's you know, things like that. Even if it's subtle, it means a lot to me for projects like these.
Yeah.
I really like that they're putting that much effort and thought into the lighting and how it reacts with different materials and such. You can definitely see that there's an evolution to everything, just slowly but surely changing over time.
Yarali, thank you so much for the follow.
Yeah, thank you. Much appreciated.
Or Yarali? I don't know. Sorry. I look like I can heal anything. Awesome. Yay, I got it. Awesome. But yeah, I think it's really interesting because then you're going to start seeing, you know, as the time changes, and I'm going to kind of, you know, I guess spoil this a little bit. One of the QAs after this video was asking about like how long would it take to shift from day to night, and that's going to be about 10 to 15 minutes as you see the sun starting to set and the nighttime kind of coming over. And their hope is that as you're fighting throughout that 10 to 15 minutes, you're going to be seeing the changes in your skills, and I think that's really, really cool. And the other thing is, for the art side of things, technical side of things, they found a way to make one asset and play it to a variety of things, which allows them to kind of reuse it instead of working so much. And one example of that is the beam. They're able to reuse that beam for each different type of beam that is going to be there. And this kind of brings me into the skill tree a little bit. So there's a huge difference in the skill tree. I think he said there's 7 different ways to customize your weapon. There's the length of attacks, finisher attacks, damage, and proc rate, distance you can attack somebody. And Steven ended up going with apparently like this damage beam. But you can spec the type of attack and the range. And I thought that was really neat because that adds a lot of versatility on your weapon, not even your ability, but your weapon. What are your thoughts on that?
I like it. So one of the things that I noticed, I didn't know if they said if it was 7 different ways for every weapon. I thought that they just said wand. I could be wrong. But I'm hoping that it's that many different ways for all the different weapon styles too, because that, like I said, I find weird character concepts that I like, I'll be like, oh, I'm going to be a mage with a great sword, or like I'm going to play as a tank with a book, just stuff like that. So I really dig the idea that they're putting that much emphasis on weapon builds on top of your archetypes as well.
Yeah.
Tanking by the book. I love it. I thought it was really cool how they're kind of approaching the weapon thing, where they give you a lot of versatility, and the statements that they made where they said Steven was not exactly speccing to overpower or focus his class spec.
Yeah.
But kind of chose some things that aren't in there, which kind of, rounds out your toolkit, right?
Yeah, that's actually where I was going to go on to next. Continue on that. That's a perfect segue.
Yeah. It kind of rounds out the toolkit, so you can be the jack of all trades in multiple ways. You can spec your class to be exactly a certain type of thing, and then with also having the ability to hot swap between range and melee weapons, you could then tune those to have exactly what you need that you're missing in both of those areas. So you can have a very, very, very diverse toolkit if you wanted to, or just go full tilt and lean headfirst into one specific thing with everything, right?
Yeah. And 2 things on that. One of the QA things were asking, what about a mage that wants to use a bow? And Steven was essentially mentioning there's 3 primary weapon options, and there will be capabilities to do customization within the skill tree. And one thing that was kind of interesting is as you level up your skill tree for wand, it doesn't matter if you get a new wand, that is applying across all wands. So you don't have to start over just because you got a new wand. But the other thing that I wanted to mention that you mentioned with the being able to round out your abilities was that he mentioned basically the ability for, like, if you are a cleric or a bard, perhaps you might want to go with the wand and use a specific type of like skill to then allow the mage. Let me see. You may want to synergize your weapon and abilities, double down on an element, for example, or wand can be used by a cleric or bard to help set up the mage with T1 status effects to help them do more damage. That was from the live stream. I thought that was really cool too, because then you're adding in a bit of that support, but maybe you're also dealing some damage to be able to heal with that synergy. What are your thoughts on that? That's pretty cool.
Yeah, no, that actually, honestly, that kind of goes along lines with a lot of different play styles I like to do, because I like playing, a lot of PvP stuff, but I understand that I'm not the best when it comes to dueling, or I'm not the best when it comes to healer builds. So I try to find like these hybrid ways of playing. So being able to find those little cool crevices that you can just round out and become like an asset, but not a threat. I don't know if that makes sense, but that's kind of like, that's like my main way of playing in general. So I loved everything that they said about that.
Yeah.
Man, oh man. You see, I'm going to be kind of caught. I really, really hope, because it was stated at one time, and I'm not sure if it's going to stay that way. It was stated at one time you'd be able to change your main hand weapon during combat. And I really like the ability to be able to do that, because I'm very situational. I like to be flexible. I like to be able to do all the stuff, right? Maybe not all the stuff to the greatest degree, but if something comes up, I like to have something in my pocket to handle it. And if we were to be able to run into, say, a dungeon that's weak to fire, I'm going to pack a fire sword, right? And or if it's weak to fire, I'm going to pack a fire sword. That means they're probably ice or water or whatever they decide is weak to fire. And I'll just carry the opposite element protection on my shield. And then some people come along in their PvP gears, and they're geared up to fight the same stuff. So it's not going to be as advantageous as if I could switch up my gear, or at least my weapon, right? In the fight. Or for that matter, just as soon as I walk out the door, I'll probably have I'll have a bunch of weapons. Put it that way. I'll have a bunch of weapons. They're going to be all set up with different skills that I've learned for them.
Yeah. And the other cool thing is they mentioned that weapon effect swaps with the element. So as he's fighting, you can see as he's using something ice, it's got that light blue ice effect, but then fire goes to that nice red effect. And the elemental empowerment now also has the correct status effect. So it sounds like that was a bug that they had fixed. I thought that was really cool too, because it's really enjoyable seeing if you even think about it from a PvP perspective, like if I'm going up against a mage and I see ice, I know that they're about to hit me with some ice. I like that. That begins to give you a lot of information just visually that's going to help you determine what are you going to do in reaction to that. Like, maybe you're wearing something that's like fire resistant, so you don't really care. But yeah, also they wanted to say that each weapon has a unique progression with it, and that the weapon levels about 2.5 times the speed, roughly, not official, but roughly, of your adventuring level of speed. So you'll be able to level up a few different weapons as you go. I thought that was really neat too.
Thank you.
I see your build mage. Prepared to die.
And Bochi says, I'll be fine with weapon swapping if there's no macro for it, so it ain't so fast. And I'd be okay with that too. Just as long as I can have something where, if something else comes to threaten me and I have a weapon, I'm using a weapon that it's immune to, God forbid. Then what am I going to do as a tank? Stand there and shoot arrows at it in melee because my sword doesn't work?
Yeah.
It'd be real nice to be able to swap out to a different sword in hand.
Yeah. Oh no, I need to remove stream elements. My bad. I was gonna stream AFK Journey, but I didn't get a chance to, and the bot's still like sharing our link. Sorry, guys.
Oh no.
Go back with the weapon swapping. Because I remember that too, where they made a comment about how there was going to be like a form of weapon swapping, but it wasn't going to be like an instant. Like there was going to be like a global cooldown for that. So now it's interesting to see where they're going to go with that, because Steven did make mention on how they have like, the melee and the range weapon options. And he made a comment about how depending on what skill you use, it's going to automatically use either your melee or range weapon slot for that skill. So it's kind of interesting on where they're going to go with that, if they're still planning on having some kind of weapon swap mechanic outside of that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Realistically, I would even be okay if it took like a full second or two to swap a weapon. Like you hit the button to swap, or you drag and drop it on your paper doll, and it takes 2 seconds to swap it. I'm okay with that, even as long as I can do it.
It takes you 1 round to swap your weapon. One action to swap your weapon.
Yeah,
there's a kitty. You're like, Dad, let me go.
Yeah.
I don't want to be in this portal.
Not portal trained yet.
Yeah, he's not portal trained yet. It's okay.
Not portal trained.
I want to swap over, since we're talking about the abilities during the nighttime. Let's go ahead and talk, as you see the wonderful effects on screen, about the nighttime lighting. So first off, before I say anything from what they were talking about, do you like the changes?
I love the changes. The little subtleness. So I was kind of one of those that thought that it needed to be a little bit darker. and they made a comment. One of the lighting people on this made a comment on how they got inspiration from Hollywood filmmaking, where they produced some soft blues to give off the presence of nighttime but still be visible. And I honestly think that they did a really, really good job of executing that.
Yeah, I agree. Before I say mine, Vertec, what are your thoughts?
I think the lighting overall was much better than we've seen in the past. Again, the reference to leaning into the purples to give it that kind of darker
Ethereal
feel to it. Yeah, give it a little bit of an eerie feel from time to time, that kind of thing. And the way they made it sound, I almost think that they're going to be varying the color of the nighttime light depending on like seasons or moods or the areas that you're in. Even like it might end up being more on the purple end for the areas that are supposed to be spooky, and maybe more on the lighter blue end for, you know, the happier areas or whatnot.
Yeah, definitely. For me, I'm gonna say, with everybody saying it needed to be darker, I was genuinely nervous that they were going to go too dark. And I love that Steven kind of made a call out to this. And he had said that they wanted it to be, I don't think it may have been Steven, I'm forgetting at the moment, but they wanted it to be dark enough to have that vibe without obscuring vision or requiring a torch or light. And I loved that, because for me, requiring that was just, it felt too survival, less MMO. Like, this isn't necessarily a survival MMO, it's a PvX MMO.
Mm-hmm.
But like in survival games, I could see that, but I also don't like playing them for that exact reason. It's just way too dark. I can't see anything, and then I get scared. I'd be scared of the dark, you guys.
And Aberrat and Undead Pally are kind of the same, in the same boat, because I'd agree. Like, it's nice to have a dark night, but going too dark where you have to carry a light source with you at all times, to me is a bit, that's like you said, very survival gamey.
Yeah.
Not trying to play a survival game, or else I go buy a survival game, you know?
Yeah. But also Basil had mentioned that you can see fireflies here and there in the darkness.
Yeah, that
and
was
like
great.
That calls back to that attention to detail that you don't expect in alpha. Like, without even the lightning bugs, and you see them kind of like glowing and then fading, you know, and like that attention to detail with those types of things are like things I'd expect in beta, not even currently, but we've seen it time and time again with like the little bugs buzzing around the light the previous time, and then the lightning bugs on this one. And I'm really curious what the lighting source is on, like where he's standing currently. I didn't see like a flame or anything, so I was like trying to figure it out. But I like it. I like that there's like little ways to light your path, and it kind of shows you a pathway. But yeah, they're also working on how the sky fades with color fades, so from like warms to cools depending on what they're looking for, you know, like a nice sunset, as well as the atmospherics and weather they're hoping to showcase soon. And they're trying to reflect base lighting as real world as possible in terms of portraying the sun and the sky values, and that magic spells need to be visible with it during the day. So making sure it's not too bright at night so that it's also visible during the day, that kind of thing. I really love how far they've come and how far they're planning to go with all of this lighting. It's very dynamic. I love it.
Now, one question I have for you guys. So, did you pay attention to the lightning ball?
I did.
Yeah.
Now, you remember how it was the first time they showed it off, and how they showed it off now?
Yeah.
Ezekiel, how do you feel about the changes that they've made?
So if I'm remembering correctly, because it's been a while since I saw the first time the lightning ball came out, the original one looked almost too spherical. It almost looked unnatural, because, like, you know, lightning doesn't really like have like a solid form, you know, essentially. So this one that came out, it looked more jagged. It looked a little bit more edged. So in my opinion, it actually looked a little bit more realistic, just compared to the other one, because the other one just looked a little too shaped. For me, at least, from what I remember.
Undead Pally is agreeing with you. Too much of an outline for the OG sphere.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Hi, Penumbral. What have I walked into? It's Viking night at the tavern.
Sword.
Mm-hmm. Gold.
But hi Hojo, welcome in. I personally think it does look a little bit better. I can't put my finger on like what exactly changed with it, but I did kind of wish that there was a little bit of a light reflection, just like a subtle one along the ground.
Mm-hmm.
It feels a little detached at the moment. I know that this is all alpha, but that's just my opinion. But there was the notice that when he's near the water and he's casting spells, you kind of see that reflection in the water as well.
Yeah. I saw somebody making a mention about how a lot of it didn't seem like it came from a source, and I'm trying to understand what they were meaning by that. It was in the chat during the thing, but I'm wondering if it's just like it just seemed as if it just appeared out of nowhere instead of like coming out of the mage itself, like casting the spell. They'll rewatch that to kind of get that part pinned down. But
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I would definitely agree. The original ball was very, very. It was a hard sphere, right? And the little lightning GBs that would shoot out weren't very big. They would all kind of stop at the edge of the globe, almost like one of those things you can get at Spencer's, a little lightning ball that you can touch it and zip, 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 zip.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And the light on the ground from it was really, really bright, and that was a lot of the feedback that I saw. And this one, I think they did it really well. And as a matter of fact, I'm trying to pull up right now as we're speaking the old video just to get a good example of it here to show it on screen. But
yeah, definitely.
I think the new one, the only thing I could ask as a suggestion / request is to give it back some of the glow on the ground, because you called it chibi. It was missing that. That's one thing I was looking for specifically. But you know, again, it's still off of 2, so they're probably still working on it, to be honest.
Actually,
and I would imagine.
Actually, that was one of the QA things.
Oh. Yeah.
Specifically for this. And somebody said, will spell effects reflect off of the environment? And they said some will. They're talking about performance, and lights can be expensive performance-wise. So they may look into lights that spawn off of particles, but want to keep the performance in mind. So they're talking about trying to update a lot of these lighting effects to kind of keep in mind that, you know, right now, if you look at the minimum required specs, it's pretty high. it's a huge jump from Alpha 1. Granted, it's been 3 years, but not everybody has like a 4070 or a 4080 or a 4090, you know? And so at the very bare minimum, like you want these things to look good and run well. And so that in mind is a lot of these lighting effects. So if they can find a way to reflect it, because I think they're trying to look into how to reflect it in a way that's very efficient with your computer, graphics efficiency.
Okay. And I could see that. And performance is definitely going to be a thing. I mean, have you seen the rest of the game? It all looks amazing, and it's got to add a tax to the computer that's trying to run it. Okay, here you go.
You'll be okay until Alpha 4. Oh yeah, and now it's a lot smaller. It's a little less bright, and you can see the tendrils of lightning coming on the outside of the ball instead of ending at the outside of the ball.
Then I'm going to
very much prefer the new one.
See if I can find exactly where a lightning ball was on this video here.
I'm definitely gonna need to upgrade my rig for this. Yeah, Kexter, I absolutely feel you. We just updated Vertex rig because he was struggling to play Cyberpunk 2077 and a few other games with his other computer.
Yeah, like the game itself would work, but trying to stream was just an absolute no-go. It was not going to be able to stream and play those games at all. Like Baldur's Gate was killing it absolutely, no matter what settings I used.
Yeah. I felt bad because I don't know what I'd be doing. I'd be doing something and I'd constantly see like going live, going live, going live. I'm like, oh no.
Oh.
So while he pulls that up, another thing that I wanted to mention on the skills, since we're kind of talking again about skills a little bit, is that somebody else asked, will there be there's the interaction. Okay, is there magic connected to time of day? And there's definitely magic that relates to time, as there's a goddess of time named Eterna.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts of that? That's pretty cool.
That is cool. The thing that is, wildly speculation, though, is that we have not really had any kind of, at least to my knowledge, any kind of like lore drops of any kind of time-based abilities or spells of any kind of chronomancy or anything like that. So I don't even know where that would tie into, because they kind of already, specified that clerics were life and death, while you had your mages that are going to be like the arcane fire and ice, which I guess you can kind of put time in with the arcane. But, like...
Part of me thinks it might be the religion system. If you worship the goddess of time, perhaps your augment from your religion gets applied to your weapon.
That would be awesome.
That would be really awesome.
Be a whole nother level of immersion.
Yeah.
So
And
many
Hojo says
options.
chronomancy. Good word. I like it. Yeah, right? The god of truth, Thol, is the only god. Sol? Thol.
Okay, here we go. So there you go. I got the two compared on screen right there.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Get that big old thing versus that.
Yeah. Can you put them side by side? Is there a way you can like shrink them next to each other? Sorry, I'm asking too much. It's fine.
I was gonna say it might take me a little bit here, but I could make that happen.
Sogli, I thought you were trying to think of Thor mixed with Shawl. So we have love, creation, fate, hope, truth, and now time. Exactly. That was one more deity we don't know of the seven.
Uno
Exactly.
Ooh.
Exactly. You're picking up what I'm putting down. By the way, somebody asked, when will we see other archetypes? Because, obviously we're seeing the mage wand skills again. And he said that we're hoping to show Bard in... Bard is currently in phase 2 of development. And finalizing VFX showcase within the next few months. Basically there is a plan of just, if not next month, maybe the month after. So, because next month it's, it's thought to be the Node Wars, right? So we have Node Wars maybe, followed by Bard maybe. So pretty exciting. Those are some big things. And honestly, a lot of people weren't very excited about this whole showcase. What are your thoughts? Because a lot of people were worried that it was going to be kind of like a little bit of a flop, like it's just lighting. What's the big deal? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, so I remember a while ago that they had already said that Summoner wasn't going to be ready by the time Alpha 2 hit. Like it was, Summoner was going to be something that was going to come out later, like sometime in beta.
Yeah.
Rogue is one of those, classes that are like a staple in these kind of games. So I have a feeling they actually already have Rogue ready to go, and they're just kind of being very Rogue-esque. They're going to sneak it in at the end. So that's why I think Bard's going to come out. I think they're trying to focus on getting the Bard out there to the public, so people that are ready for it by the time Alpha 2 launches. And then there's then they're just going to slide Rogue in and just be like, by the way, here's Rogue. Because you can't have a game like this without that kind of archetype. That's just
right.
a staple in this kind of series. So I think I like this because it's just wild speculation on my end. I think Rogue is ready. They're just waiting, and they're just trying to focus on getting Bard ready. So when Alpha 2 launches, they're set.
Would you say that Rogue is hiding in the shadows?
I would say that.
Ooh.
Absolutely.
Ooh, look at you. Look at you. But yeah, I've always had one of my favorite theories is that the Rogue has been ready for a while because it's basically another melee, right? And they just need to adjust the skills specifically. Like maybe not ready, of course, but it could be ready for show already, and it has been for a while because we were working on the fighter, and it's just another flavor of melee. And that when they go to release the Rogue showcase, they're gonna be like, well, let us tell you how the Rogue has been in the past 17 live stream videos.
Yeah.
Let me point them out for you. And there's going to be like 2 rogues in every video for the last like 19 streams or something.
That would be hilarious just because of the whole like, unless you're looking for like the warpy effect, you may not even notice it. And I bet it's harder to notice at night too.
Mm-hmm.
The rogues are the characters that kept Steven alive in all those times that he pulled every single mob in like a
there you go.
radius.
Never saw them unvanish.
Right.
You know. So the next thing I want to talk about is the Skybox, and the Skybox is looking mighty fine if I do say so myself. What are your thoughts on the changes on the Skybox visually?
I love it. There is so many speculations with that now too, because they also said this Skybox has its own model now. So it rotates around the world that also rotates. So we're going to get like natural looking transitions from seasons and night and day cycles. Some of the things that I'm wondering too is like, are they going to implement different lengths of day and night cycles depending on what part of the world? Because like, for instance, you were all down in Florida, right? So you have more bright sunny days for longer periods of time. I live in the north where it gets dark for, 15 hours of the day. So are they going to transition that because of the, the 2 models rotating against each other? Are we going to get that kind of natural occurrence too? Like that kind of stuff kind of makes me all happy too.
Yeah, I agree. And actually, to add to what you said, and it's something that's going to get Vertec excited, is that they mentioned, because again, yes, that was for the technical terminologies, it was converted to a cube map, which allows it to rotate as the planet rotates, but it's also the predicate to the constellation system, which Vertec is intending to play. What are your thoughts on that, Vertec?
I think it's going to be nice that it's dynamic. And, I can't even really formulate thoughts about the whole constellation system because it hasn't really been done very in depth at all in any game. So I can't even begin to know how they're going to tie it all together. But the fact that it's going to be rotating around, it's going to have its own separate box instead of just like a painted flat whatever. It just kind of stays there. We've seen a bunch of games before where the sky just kind of exists. And it's always the same stars, and you just don't notice because you're always looking not at the sky, right?
Yeah, exactly.
But that means that you might literally have to look around and look for constellations at any given point and really not know where they are in the sky until you figure out how the world rotates and how the sky rotates around it. Is the constellation going to make a figure 8 in the sky, or is it just going to go from one side to the other? Is it always going to be low to the horizon? Is it always going to be up high? Or
Ooh, there is a little bit of a I forgot what you said, but Penumbral has a theory. I'll tell you, where the stars are will influence the layout of the dungeons. How's that for a theory? Additionally, they made it where the moons respond to the skybox. So at the beginning, he's kind of looking up at the sky. One of the moons is erupting, and you actually see it erupt in terms of effects periodically. And they gave us a little bit of lore with that, the harbingers were the foretellers of the apocalypse, and one of which struck the moon that is exploding. I thought that was really, really cool. But also the nebula moves throughout the day-night cycle too. Excuse me. Join. We better be able to go to that moon in some expansion. To the moon. But I love that. I think that this gives somebody said it very perfectly in chat during the live stream, and that is that this is all giving Vera a whole lot of character. We're starting it to see it really come to life, and I am here for it. I love it.
Absolutely. I'm sorry, I'm fighting with OBS right now, trying to get this to work right. It does not want to play nice.
That's okay. You don't have to share it side by side. It's okay.
Well, I'm just about there now. It's too late to turn back.
Joke's on you, it's too late to turn back. Also, I love how the curtain, like, there's the hill and then there's the nightscape behind the hill. It's like a spooky little...
It's almost perfect.
It's awesome. I love it.
Right, cool. So there's that.
Bochi is the new champion of the hill. You are the champion, my friend. But let's see. What else can I pull out while he's getting that together? Another cool thing is they were talking about how just kind of random at this point. Over the last month, they've had about 10 to 12 people join, around maybe 13, and another 7 to 8 will be joining next month. And there's nearly 200 people at Intrepid now.
Yeah.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
And for those that don't know the substantialness of that, they started with like 7 people.
Right.
Back in 2017. Like very, very little people.
Mm-hmm.
And they've made a lot of progress toward the Node Wars systems that people will see in the next month. This is from Steven. And they are in milestone 9, which is feature complete for the entrance criteria of Alpha 2. And milestone 10 is going to be polishing for Alpha 2. Oh my gosh, Yerd, welcome in and thank you so much for the bits. Cheers.
Yes, thank you for the bits. Yeah, OBS is absolutely not behaving. Now it's broken. It won't even show the image again at all.
It's fine. We can just move on from there.
Yeah, I made a note about their size now for their company. One of the things that made me super proud and happy and optimistic was the fact that they left very little for the wand, because now Margaret and a team are going to displaying more builds with the wand throughout the month, which tells me that they are in a very healthy space for development, that they can actually set a side team for something as small and marginal as wand combat. Like they still have enough people to do development while they have this side team doing this, which gives me a little bit bigger,
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, it's really an exciting, like, you can feel just listening, like, ignore Steven, ignore Maggie. We hear them every week or every month. I mean, every week. It feels like that sometimes. Like, oh, we just had a live stream. But like, listen to the devs that they're talking to. You hear the passion in their voices as they're talking about the Skybox, as they're talking about these visual effects that they've been working on and these things they've been iterating on. And you can just tell that they love what they do and that they're very passionate about making the game better. And I think the fact that they kept drawing back to the community the community said, we noticed that the community, like, that shows like they really do care, like, what you guys think, what we all think. And they want to draw on that to better the game. And I think this was a great example of that. And honestly, it's looking phenomenal. I'm super, like, this alone has me a little bit more hyped for Alpha 2, because I did not think the knighting could get any better. I thought it was pretty before. It's gorgeous now. Like, I am obsessed. I'm going to do a stretch. Thank you.
Oh, stretch time. Oh, as I punch my mic.
Funk.
Hopefully it wasn't too loud. My bad.
I didn't hear anything. I don't know if they did.
Okay.
But as we are coming kind of towards an end here, I wanted to highlight one big thing. Now, Vertec, unfortunately not Vertec, but I had the pleasure of doing this last year with Steven and Intrepid, and that is the AMA with Steven Sharif with content creators. And notably, the ones that they're going to be having on include Vladis, Nice Gaming, I believe it's Sunny from Loreforged, and then Jamie Chaos from Tangents of Creation. And that's going to be on May 10th at 11 a.m. Pacific. I'm going to be there. I highly encourage you guys to be there. We can't wait to see. I honestly, I'm so excited to see newer content creators being invited to this. It's not that, I didn't think that they would invite them. It's just more like, you never know when Intrepid's going to do this. And then it pops out of nowhere. And it's really, really awesome. And we've had, I believe, all of these people on our show at least once. So if you guys want to know more about them, feel free to check out. We're on YouTube. All of our old videos are on YouTube. And these are all great, hardworking content creators that I've seen really put in a lot of solid effort to make Ashes of Creation content over the last year or so. And I'm so happy to see them get this interview. I'm very excited to see what kind of questions they ask. And if you want a chance to ask your question, I suggest reaching out to a few of them. I know at least Jamie has his Discord where he's asking people to give them questions. So super excited. We learned a lot about lore and other things last time. So I can't wait to see what else we find.
Yeah, it's going to be super nifty. And the fact that there's fresh pairs of eyes in the game constantly and coming in on a continual basis is actually pretty amazing.
Like calling back to the comment about Ezekiel and I grouping up to becoming like the cleric duo, super there for it.
Yeah.
So
Vertec would stay alive forever.
Huh?
Vertec would stay alive forever.
Absolutely. Vertec will have infinite health.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Also, if you haven't checked out Ezekiel, you totally should. We got him to do a combo crunk.
Oh, what did we do? What was it? What was the other thing we did? Was it the bunny ear ooh or something?
Yeah, it's where I kind of sit here and talk to Trunk and just say things like "Go Minasai, Otoko no Kwa Shite Masu Woo."
Glorious,
and we actually have a clip of him the first time he did it because he goes, "Yeah, sounds about right."
Yeah.
Ooh, woo.
It was perfect. I loved it.
Oh my goodness.
But honestly, like, if you guys haven't known about Ezekiel, we've been trying to get Ezekiel on forever, and we're so glad to be able to get Ezekiel on for this, and to the point that we both dressed up because Ezekiel was coming on. So I don't know, I'm just thank you so very, very much for joining us.
Yeah, so if I'm being honest, so like I've known about you guys almost now for 2 years, and this is when I first started streaming. I was very new to the Twitch thing, and I was like, oh, let's see what's going on with Ashes of Creation on Twitch, and I found you guys, and I was like, I love this product. I want to be on this show someday. So the fact that I'm on here now, almost 2 years later, this is literally, for me, a dream come true. So I'm just super thankful for the opportunity, and I look forward to being here again sometime.
Yes,
You're
agreed.
always
Cheers
welcome back.
to that.
Anytime. Yeah, here's one of the more entertaining and genuine and caring people that I've seen in the any kind of streamer community, to be honest.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And whenever we are online or like ending a stream and we see he's online, we try to read over because it's not very often we get to kind of overlap any sort of stream. So
yeah, times.
Yeah. Yeah, they do. Which is why I was glad we were able to make this one work. So thank you for working with us on it.
Thank you.
Of course. Now, if you had to have one takeaway from the live stream today, what is your favorite thing about the live stream today?
Oh man. I honestly, the thing I think that probably hit me the most was the fact that they said that every weapon, because I thought they said that the wand had 7 different ways of builds, but every other weapon is going to have their own unique trees. So that opened up for me because I love to find really silly character themed role play esque ideas for builds. So the fact that that is opened up just on the weapon side of things, I think really hit a lot for me. That makes me just even more pumped because I have altitis. I want to make all of the characters that I think of, and this just gives me the assurance that I'm going to be able to.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. For me, it's got to be just the weapon trees are going to be awesome, and that's pretty much it.
Oh my gosh.
Like the weapon trees are going to be pretty great. Because
sorry, I thought you were done.
I mean, you saw. I'm not sure if you noticed he was at level 25. He was at, so he had 24 points spent in.
Mm-hmm.
So if nothing else gets added to that at all, he might almost be able to fill the tree out, but it still doesn't look like it's even a guarantee at that point. But they keep adding more stuff to these trees every time we see them displayed, so I'm pretty sure that that's legitimately a level 25 tree. Mm-hmm. And that's what's available, but who knows what they're going to do with the weapons. Maybe the weapons will come fully, unlocked or whatever.
I do like that there is that horizontal progression and that it helps you round out your classes with just the weapons alone. I thought that was a really neat touch. That's not something I've ever really considered. My favorite thing, because pardon my French if there's any children on here, I'm a graphics whore. I love graphics. But the Skybox, it was gorgeous. I fell for it immediately. I died for it. I would die for it again. If I die staring up at the sky, I'd be happy. I'm fine. You can take my stuff. I'm looking at the beautiful moon.
Yeah.
Corpse just times out.
Yeah.
That didn't sound French.
Oh, I'm sorry, Bochi. Maybe I pronounced it wrong. I don't know.
Le whore.
But with that being said, Bochi did redeem Guide the Raid over to Nice Gaming. And once again, I'd like to say Nice is going to be the one that's on the AMA with Steven. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to call it the AMA Raid.
The almost AMA. No. AMA Raid's fine because it's not almost. Okay. It's still like a week and a half away.
Well, it could also be the Ask Me Anything raid, where we ask him anything.
AMA prep. Ooh. Everybody have a question for him, and everybody just ask the question immediately as soon as we land.
There you go.
As soon as we land in there, just ask whatever question you have, anything.
Thank you, Sunshine Mist, for joining us, and thank you, Ezekiel, for being our guest.
Thank you so much for having me.
Cheers.
All right. Well, Ezekiel, would you like to plug anything, say anything, close us out? No,
I mean, I don't know what to say. Just looking forward to getting in game Alpha 2 with you all, because I know you all have been in already. So, just looking forward to it. And I think at some point soon, me and Chibi should think about, starting a cleric coalition and, just take over the world in a peaceful manner.
Yeah.
Love it.
Oh, yeah, I should plug Milo. Yamkun said I should plug Milo. Milo, my lovable shoulder gremlin who comes onto my shoulder. He loves jumping on my shoulder, but for some reason he's lazy today. Yeah.
Milo. Milo's a trooper. All right, well, everybody, thank you so much. Thank you so much for hanging out with us. Ezekiel, thank you for joining us. So happy you reached out with being able to join us. I was actually ecstatic when we heard that.
Yeah.
And everybody in chat hanging out with us, just shooting the breeze, talking with us. You are the MVPs. Believe it or not, there is no us without you. And you are the reason we do this.
Agreed also. Oh, I love the rave. Yes.
Yeah, party time.
Yep. That's all for you.
Well, on that note, everybody, you take care. Thank you for spending your time here. You do not get refunds, so we hope it was worth it.
Yes.
Take care. Love you all. Bye.